Lots of great luxury brands in chat. All of them are making their customers feel a specific way. They're all doing it very uniquely and very well. But like I said, it's just slapping a nice sticker or a nice branded label on something and putting two more zeros on the product doesn't really help build the brand. Sure, it's going to help the pocketbook, but that's really not going to get where you want to go. Cool. Okay. If your brand was perceived like theirs, so if someone thought Tiffany and they went, oh my goodness, who else sells who is the next best brand in terms of engagement ring? What the heck would that mean for you? And it would probably mean a bunch of things, but that's the goal we're trying to get to. And maybe that's a stretch. Tiffany's been in the game a long time, but obviously everyone in the room is striving to deliver a higher, heightened sense of value to their customers. How is that actually going to help you? What is motivating you to own and control and grow a luxury brand? What is it? It's probably money. Let's be honest. Yeah, we do things for money. We need to eat. We need to live. But why do you want to do that yourself through a luxury brand? What is it? Community. Ooh. Resh is killing it today with these answers. Community building a legacy, quality. Oh, yeah, success to be well known. Okay, yeah, so status. Status is a huge one, Helena. Yep. Creating an everlasting experience tied to my brand. So legacy again. So there's, and when that comes down to is really pride. I want to have that in you because I love the products and I'm creating. Great. So you have personal passion in terms of doing things well, craftsmanship, money. Oh yeah, money. Yeah, money kind of goes without saying. Money, it's hard to run a business and not care about that a little bit, maybe a little bit more than a little bit. But those are great answers. Those are very good answers. We're gonna great. So great. Thank you for going through that. I think we're all on the same page there. You're all in the same room. You're all in the right. We're gonna be diving in this detail. My name is Matthew. I've been working in the Shopify ecosystem since 2017. 2016, we got certified in 2017. I got to update that. We've helped a lot more than 35 stores now. So I got to update this slide. It's a lot more than 35 stores on Shopify. And on Shopify specifically, we help luxury brands. This is just something that we're good at. We're very privileged to be in the space and host workshops through Shopify. So they're very good friends of ours. We are located right down the street from Shopify's Plus offices in Waterloo, Ontario. So we have a pretty good time over there with them. And thank you for joining us today. So what we're going to focus on today is actually the education component of our business. So we host these workshops every month completely for free. So thank you for attending. We're going to be announcing the next April's and May's workshops in the next coming days. You'll find them exactly where you found this one, right on the Shopify event page. If you have a topic that you would love us to dive into, I'm all ears. I would love to know what you need help with. You can send me a PM. That would be sweet. Or you can send me an email. And there's a very, very good chance that your question is going to end up in our programming. That's why we're here. Our agency does a lot of things within the Shopify ecosystem: design, development, branding, product packaging, customer experience, CRO, all kinds of things. And today we're going to really focus that around specifically luxury brands. So that's me. That's what we do. We have a fun time with it. Okay. Yeah, we're just gonna finish covering off the basics here. We all know creating a brand is difficult. Yeah, that's not news to anyone. Let alone a luxury brand. It requires literally more and better of everything a normal brand needs, for sure. Cool. Yeah, of course, it takes time, effort, risk, money. Of course, luck. Yeah, we always, maybe we undervalue luck a little bit, but luck plays a part. And of course, strategy. You kind of need to have a game plan. Thank you for that, PM. I'm going to get back to that in a bit, of course. Great. A level deeper. Luxury brands need to be positioned for success very early on in their development, very early on. It sounds like there's a few people in chat that are very well equipped to do this, which is super cool. But even the best of us, we can fall into these traps of like meeting status quo, cutting things a little short, not doing our due diligence, like luxury. Like we've only got one reputation. And especially for a luxury brand, that's a valuable thing, reputation. Especially a few people said in chat here, I'm just going to scroll up a minute. It was everlasting experience, well-known quality. Yeah, that we can't sacrifice those things very often and keep our reputation intact. It's just not something a luxury brand can ever really dabble in. It's tough. That's a challenge. It's a challenge. We know it's a challenge. We are going to go into that. So the root of the problem, especially with young startup luxury brands, is no strategy, and there's just a mismatch of prioritizing the valuable opportunities that you have in front of you. Because the world is your oyster right now. We have a lot of directions we could go in. Let's focus on the big ones. Great. So the first big one, and we're going to go through this. It's a great starting point. An out-of-the-box theme is good enough. So we're all using Shopify themes. If you're on Shopify, that's sweet. If you're coming to us from a different e-commerce platform, we're glad you're here. You don't need to be on Shopify to attend these workshops, but there's a good chance you are. Shopify themes are a great starting point. The price point is sweet. They're like $300. It's going to get you out the gate. They're cool. It's definitely going to help kickstart the launch of a brand. They are one size fits all. Like at the end of the day, you're going to do a little sifting through the theme store. You're going to find something that maybe matches your inventory or matches your industry. Okay, great. Starting point. We really, really need to ramp that. The reality of this is those themes get downloaded thousands of times each, like thousands and thousands and thousands of times. Like they make full livings on that. And luxury brands, we really have to do a better job standing out. We really do. We really do. So like, of course, you're going to change your fonts and colors because you're going to be putting your branding in it. But that is not going to actually help you build a community. It's not going to help you have a higher perceived value. It's not going to get you to those things that we talked about before. And at the end of the day, the website needs to perform. And that performance is going to be different for everyone. Some people are really going to be focusing on high volume sales where, you're selling luxury socks and they're $80 a pair instead of a normal $3 a pair. But you still have to sell a lot of socks at the end of the day to make rent. You still have to sell a heck of a lot of socks, even if the margins are great. Well, other brands might be selling luxury watches and the price point's $5,000, and there might be a little bit more scarcity to sell that in order to actually break even. So they have to have those performance metrics absolutely down. So what does performance mean to each of you is going to be different. There's got to be some profit in there. There's got to be the sales need to make that fit. Needs to perform. The other thing, and there's so many people in chat that actually mention this, is understanding the audience values. An out-of-the-box theme, if you download that theme from Shopify, which is, again, good starting point, it is not going to be aligned with your audience values at all. That is all on you. It's all on you. Shopify doesn't know your audience's values. The theme developers didn't know your audience values. They don't know what you're selling. They don't know how you're positioning it. They don't even know what country you're coming from when you download that theme. That's all of the things that you have to add to your business. It's the research that you have control over to get to start forming those relationships with essentially your potential customers and your existing customers. So the big thing that we're going to talk about right now is communicating those values. So there's a whole whack ton of ways this would be part of the reason why you started the brand in the first place, whether you're selling watches, whether you're selling shoes, whether you're selling clothing or food or anything else. Designer experiences, cool. We need to communicate those values through, again, a combination of imagery, text, video, and then the physical design of the site. Must happen. Like you can download the most luxurious theme the theme store has, and if you just slap some of your photos in there, it is not going to do a good job actually getting you to be perceived as a luxury brand. They all need to work in conjunction. So the big question we often ask is, how am I different? And why is that different better? That's it. And it's going to be hard. And that's why I asked the questions I did at the beginning. Everyone was a little different. Everyone had a different perspective on what luxury meant to them. And that was probably in relationship to what their audience values. So again, there are brands out there that sell t-shirts, and there is no difference in quality. There's no difference in design. There's no difference in anything, but the price point is astronomically higher. And that's just because it makes that person feel good buying a t-shirt, and they know, and they're not showy. They're not going to broadcast that success to anyone else. And that's just the way they are. And there are other people that are looking for something a little bit more spicy than that. So the big question is, how is your brand different and better? It has to be better. The different can't just be different. It has to be different, better. So better fabric, better material. There's more status around it. The designs are better. It has a higher perceived value, better customer. How is it better? And then how do we actually use imagery, text, video, and design to explain the differences and the better? So if you're selling a luxury leather product, for example, it is not enough to simply put material, genuine leather, or Canadian leather, or US virgin leather. That's one place you can put it, and you should put it there, but that's not enough. You need to use all the tools in the toolbox to actually get someone to understand the true value of the brand. And no one is going to quite literally have an emotion over some text. That is very hard to do. It's very hard to get someone to believe something and to get married to the brand and to actually become an advocate because we put some text on a page. That would be, if I could do that, I would be very, very wealthy. We know we can't do that. That's not good enough. We have to do better. So the challenge for you is, how does your photography increase that difference? How do you share more of it? Do you share the process of how your products come together? Is there behind the scenes? Does it convey those emotions? Those things need to happen. And they need to happen over and over and over, and they need to be reinforced over and over and over again. And every brand that you put in chat 10 minutes ago, they do a really, really, really good job of hammering home their values. Very good. I mean, it was like for a decade, and I could just do it. I could go through every single one of those brands on the list, and their messaging was concrete. It was carried forward in the imagery, their video assets, of course, their text. The design of it made sense, and there was no question about it. It made people believe that their brand had those values, whether it be quality, exclusivity, whether it was like speed or performance or rarity or precision, whatever those values were, that's what their content did. The website needs to contain that content. So a theme is just, again, these building blocks around what the website can do. It needs to do all of those things very, very well. Great. Do I still have everyone? The chat went quiet, which is normally either everyone's thinking or everyone's lost. So just a quick pulse check. Does everyone kind of get the fact that so the website, you should be going, how does my website actually how does it make me feel different? How do I actually convey that message? And maybe sometimes it's not even the website. Sometimes it's through your other communication channels. Maybe the website is very, very, very plain. Maybe it's very, very, lots of white space, lots of open, lots of clean. It's a minimalist design. That's cool too. And every other part of your communication channel is conveying. That's perfectly acceptable. There's no wrong way to do that. There are many right ways. So there's lots of wrong ways. There are many right ways to do this. There's not just one pathway where it has to fit this narrative. Yeah, your website needs to be aligned with your audience, your target. Absolutely. Absolutely. It absolutely must. It absolutely must. And the prolific message, absolutely. So and that needs to be consistent. I want that word consistent in there, Roger. I want a consistent. It is, every luxury brand thrives on consistency. Every single one. If I was to go to a 5-star dining experience I'm expecting it to be just as good the last time I went. Never. Yep. Yep. So even before the website, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So your website needs to have a draw. Yeah, absolutely. You definitely need messaging to get people in, and that can come through any number of communication channels: brick and mortar stores, partners, affiliates, social media, email marketing, advertising, print. And there's lots and lots of ways to get there. And again, that stuff needs to be consistent and in line with that as well. I am not expecting to see a coupon. You know what? I've never seen Tiffany's. I've never seen that little blue box on sale. I've never seen that experience go on sale. I'm sure they've got like discount stuff from like years ago that didn't like pan out, but like their key experiences, that they do not discount that. It's the same blue box. They know how they're going to make people feel. That is never discounted, ever. So they don't have those. And there's specific brands that never go on sale. So they know where their consistency is. Great. So in real life, what does this actually look like? I pick on our friends Hauser a lot. Knowing their audience, they work with designers. A lot of their product purchases coming through the design community. They work with high-end lifestyle designers. Great. What do those designers need? They need a forward-thinking website that has the tools for them to do their jobs better. So like, great, it's going to have all of the same things your website does as well. It's going to have product descriptions and details and all of that. And what are the other things that customer needs? Well, the big one is I need downloadable PDF sheets. I need to be able to get this into my process of running a business. It needs to look good. They need to mix fashion photography in with like the plain stuff so people can visualize it. You can't tell from this screenshot, but there's a lot of photography on these product pages to actually convey an emotion in terms of what your back card looked like. And these are not cheap back cards. These are like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of staging that goes in to sell, chairs that are a few $1,000s a pop. So there's a lot of imagery here. There's a lot of video here. And they're well thought out. They answer all of the primary questions, which every website should do, regardless if you're a luxury brand or not. But they understand their audience, and what their audience needs is some of the technical details. So if you're selling a watch and that watch is designed to be sold to like people that are absolute fanatics and absolutely like into the specification, you need to have all of it. You need to have the timings down, the accuracy, the material, everything. If your audience cares about those values. Other non-luxury brand watches will skimp over those details either because they're an inferior, which means they don't want to highlight it because it's just not one of their strengths, or they'll be advertising something different. They will be shying away from their weaknesses. Ooh, Jennifer, that is a great question. Which themes available for Shopify are the most flexible or customizable in terms of design and user experience? Are there any things that you prefer to start with, or do you build one from? Okay, that's a great question, and it's well timed. Okay, so we, from an agency perspective, we look at themes a little bit differently than a merchant's perspective. I'm looking at themes for features, not for design. The design is going to go to zero. The design is going to get completely scrapped. Like all of the fancy things they do with the design and the beautiful imagery they put on there and the color combinations. I'm thinking, what does the foundation look like? Does it store video very, very well so we don't have site speed issues? I know we're going to need video, but the design of the video, of the placement and everything like that is going to be completely different than what they show me on the preview, on the demo store. So we look at features, out of the box features that they do really, really well. And that just essentially saves our clients money because we don't need to build those things from scratch. We want the out of the box features that make the most sense for the client because the design is going to be theirs. So we rarely build from scratch because it just costs a heck of a lot of money and it takes a lot of time. So even if it wasn't the money, it would be the time. There's a lot of things that we don't know. With the site speed, they have speed scores on it. So their site speed isn't super, super important unless it's terribly bad. So most themes right now, since Shopify 2.0, have a speed score associated with them. You can destroy that speed score in a hurry just by uploading like oversized images, non-compressed video file. Like you can do things to wreck that. So it might be good to have a second opinion on it. There's lots and lots of free tools out there that will just let you analyze how the speed score of your website. Shopify will do it for you as well. Oftentimes, if your speed score is really terrible, it's probably technical. So unfortunately, like, you probably will have to get someone involved for that, because it's not going to be easy for you to just click a few buttons and save speed score. But again, it's normally not important unless it's really bad. Like, an average speed score is just fine. Like, we don't like it's kind of not even talked about in today's world. So, are there any things that you prefer? We typically go for themes that are built literally by Shopify. We trust that they're built to a certain standard. Again, we're going to wipe the frills and all the details away anyways as part of the build. So we don't really need to go in terms of anything fancy, because again, it's going to look like your brand. It's not going to look like anyone else's. So there are a few. There are a few. Oh, that's a great question. You're catching me off guard there with what theme. I'm not the right person to tell you from our team what themes we actually prefer to use. But yeah, what's considered bad speed score in Shopify? That really depends on the industry. The Shopify tells you. Shopify tells you there's a little optimization speed score thing on your theme to begin with. So it'll tell you if you're looking in the theme store, what the site speed is going to be. It's difficult. Their sites are different sizes, and pages contain more information than others. So if I'm trying to sell something really, really expensive, so a $5,000 watch, the content on that page is going to be a heck of a lot more than if I'm trying to sell an $80 pair of socks. They're both luxury products. I don't own any $80 socks, but still the price point is different. So I would need to give more information. There's more content on the page. There's more things that need to load in. So it does determine, it is site to site, product to product, company to company specific, if that makes sense. If you're familiar with Google Lighthouse, there's another speed score through there as well. Any website you can run Google Lighthouse on. That's a quick search there. It's a free checker as well. I'll put that one at the end for the Google Lighthouse once we get to the end. So back to the slide here. Yes, they are designing product pages that speak to those specific values. We don't want to lose track of those values, and those values can be anything. So like I would carve those values in stone and go, like, anything that I'm doing that goes against these values, I gotta cross off the list and get those out of there. So what does the audience value? What do I want the brand to be associated with? We all gotta pull in that direction. Big time. We get it. Not everyone's a designer. That's why people are talking about speed score now and themes. We get it. Not everyone's a designer. Part of us being in the ecosystem, we do a lot of complimentary strategy sessions. If you'd like to book one with me or someone on our team to take a look at something like this, yeah, I'd love to chat with you specifically about your brand, that you might not want to air that dirty laundry in public. That's my link. Can I copy and paste that of this? No, I can't. We'll try. I'm gonna give you that link later in the workshop as well. You can just schedule an appointment with us. We used to do these cool things through Shopify before COVID, and we'd be in person. We had a really good time of it. But yeah, if you want to get into the nitty gritty of your business, that's how you'll do it. Yeah, and I would be happy to give you one. I will put that in the chat for sure. So stick around to the end. Can you summarize the values of the brand you just started? Resh, my brand? Our brand, 2H Media? Is that what you're asking? I can summarize our values 100%. I'm not sure if you care about a marketing agency's values, but the one that we care about the most is transparency. Oh, the product page. Oh, great. Yeah, this one. So this one, yeah, Hauser. So this is Hauser Furniture. And again, this is a fraction of a screenshot in this presentation. So like, to get a real experience of this, you'd have to actually go to their website and you'd see the whole thing and the way it's laid out and how they do that. So the values, they value, like, the biggest one at all is longevity and quality. They have a heavy focus on made in Canada. So they are building outdoor furniture built to last in a Canadian environment. which is not always the easiest thing. It's not like patio season down in Florida where it's, a balmy 28 degrees all the time, or, 80 degrees Fahrenheit or Fahrenheit. It gets cold, and then it needs to get stored, and it needs to come back out, and things get banged. So they make product in Canada for a harsh climate. It's highly, highly Canadian. So they're using natural woods, a lot of teak, a lot of things built outside for their climate. And then again, you might not get their vibe because they're selling to designers. They are selling to designers. So you might just not be their audience. They are selling very, very fancy chairs to interior and exterior decorators, if that makes sense. So again, you could put a brand in front of me, and I've never been perfectly aligned with Tiffany's blue box. I've never wanted one. I've never planned my wedding before. I've never dreamt of receiving one from someone. I still understand the value of it, but it's still not in line with like what I value in terms of jewelry. So perfectly fine if you don't understand their vibe. It shouldn't. Not every luxury brand should appeal to everyone. There's I could put a pair of very, very nice high performance running shoes in front of probably half of the people in this room, and you're going to go, those are ugly. I don't like those. Why the heck? I don't care. Basketball shoes? What do you mean? I've never played basketball in my life. I don't care about those. I could do that with Balenciaga. I could do that with a million other brands. And it's because they don't care what everyone thinks. They care what their audience thinks. And that's a very, very key strategic point. They are not here to appeal to everyone. Just like Hauser. Hauser does not appeal to everyone. It appeals to the people that share their values. And their values are designers. So if you're not a designer, that's fine. Neither am I. Cool. And look at that. Right into how do we segue into that? People will understand I am a luxury brand. That's great. Not everyone will. It's like most of them won't. It's like, how the heck is that luxury? That doesn't look good. That doesn't feel right. We can't assume they will. We really can't. So, yeah, you got it. But then they're not the target audience. Absolutely. Absolutely. We can't appeal to everyone. But even those people, we don't want to take anything for granted. So people are not just going to assume that because my product is valued higher, just because there's an extra zero on the price tag. It's like, what makes it better? What makes it more exclusive? Why would I pay more? I'm already shopping with other brands. I've already got attachments. I'm already comfortable with my buying decisions. I've already purchased something before. Why would I come shop with you? We're not just going to assume people will immediately value us. Not going to happen. I wish it did. Doesn't work. We have to reinforce it. We have to reinforce and reinforce and reinforce and reinforce. So great. And this comes down to positioning. There are 6 key persuasions that we're going to go over. And we need to really kind of exceed our competition. That's going to be hard. A lot of these other luxury brands that have been established, they got big budgets, they got deep pockets, they got sponsorships with famous people, and they're around and they've got their name out there. And that's unfortunately they kind of beat us to the punch to being starting the business 150 years ago. It is what it is. So we have to dial into what we're actually going to be good at and the quality of our content. So right off the hop, the first thing that we will dive into at this is there's a download right there. That is something I am going to put into the chat. Psychologist did a bunch of studies in the 70s and the 60s and yada, yada, yada. The short of it is we have 6 marketing persuasions that appeal to consumers on a psychological level. There's only 6. They all fall into these buckets. There is not a single one that falls outside of these buckets. There are 6. We have reciprocity, authority, social proof, commitment, liking, and scarcity. That's it. Everything falls into those. That the communication that human beings have with one another, those are the tools. I just put a link in the chat for everyone. Those are them. Just quickly, you can download it. It's free. Sprint Point is controlled and owned by 2H Media. So it's just a sheet of paper that I want you to take some notes on. Every luxury brand knows what persuasions work best with their audience. This is how they influence their audience to believe and value the same things as them. That's it. So not every brand uses all six. All six can be applicable, but not in every combination. So no luxury brand uses all six. No brand in general should be all things to all people. Right? They won't be. They can't be. Because like I don't value Walmart. Just because they have a wide selection and cheap prices, like that's not what I value. Right? So even the brands that sell everything that are the biggest ones, it's just like, yeah, there's a mix match. Those persuasions will help you match what you are good at to the psychological effects that has on the human brain. So 6, do not do all 6. Pick the best 2 and focus on those. And any one of those 6, I've just got them in front of me here to keep it easy on my end. Any one of those 6 or any 2 of those 6 will be good enough as long as we're consistent. If you look at any brand, they use any established brand, they use these. So Supreme, when they were building their brand, they use scarcity. I'm going to put Supreme on a white t-shirt. It's the same white t-shirt as every other person, and it's going to say Supreme on it, but I'm only going to print 200 of them. Great. They use scarcity. There's every other brand, Patagonia so like even like the social proof. Tiffany uses social proof. Everyone knows what that blue box is. You're in the game, that's social proof. Everyone knows it's in that blue box. That's social proof. Liking, authority. So authority, to go back to Nike, well, the best athletes use Nike. That's the authority they've built. But there's no scarcity there. There's no scarcity with Nike, though they will make shoes for everyone. There's no limit of shoes. You want the new Jordans? You might have to wait a bit, but they're not only making 200 pairs. They're going to make 2 million pairs. If they keep selling them, they're going to keep bringing them back. So every single one of you in this room, write down your findings. What marketing persuasions are your competitors leveraging? And then we have to look at why. Why are they choosing those ones? Because there's a really, maybe because celebrities going crazy. Yeah, there's tons. Absolutely. Car companies, every market, and this again ties back to your advertising, your print media, your social media, the way your website's designed, the way that you want partners talking about you, your community affiliations, everyone. We want to be in a couple of these buckets, especially when we're just starting out. We can't be all things to all people. We can't put ourselves too thin. Pick 2 buckets and be good at those 2. Because if we want to go forward 6 months, a year, 2 years, what do we want people thinking of your brand? And they can't think everything. Absolutely, Jess. So that's an easy one. So like authenticity is a great one. There's not really authenticity on the list. Authenticity fits into something else. Bigger brands aren't necessarily showing their founders and involved. Yeah. So that would be closer to liking. People are going to like the founder. They'll have an actual attachment to the people that are doing this, that are behind the brand. I like you, therefore I like what you're doing. That would fall into liking. And there are people that like Elon Musk has a massive following. People like Elon Musk. Some people like Elon Musk. No matter what he does, they will like what he does. That's okay. That falls into liking. Great. Elon Musk doesn't use a bunch of celebrity endorsements to my knowledge. So he doesn't have a whole bunch of social proof that way. I haven't seen Matthew McConaughey in a Tesla. No, he's over for Lincoln. They use different tactics for different brands. You need to choose yours. If you're confused with this, yeah, he initially did use scarcity. Absolutely, he did use scarcity. They were making that Roadster. Absolutely. So this can change over time. That's a great point. You don't need to be married to these things. You need to be consistent for as long as that consistency works. And as your brand evolves, you need to change with it. And I'll stay to the Tesla point of view. It used to be Tesla Motors because no one knew what a Tesla was. So we had to have Tesla Motors on it because people needed to associate Tesla with car. And now everyone knows that Tesla is a car, and they were able to drop the motors and evolve as a brand. Great. as your brand grows, it will need to evolve too. But we can't take things for granted to start. So less is more. Cool. If you don't mind, of those 6, throw them in chat. Who is using what? Or if people are already using these marketing persuasions now, I'd love to hear about it. Throw it in there. This is like kind of like a marketer. It shouldn't be a marketer secret. It shouldn't be a marketer secret that these things exist. Now that you know about them, you'll start seeing them everywhere. The more you get comfortable using these persuasions, you will see them everywhere. You'll see them everywhere. Every sale, every brand messaging, you'll see it all. There's an amazing book called Influence. I can't remember the author off the top of my head. There's like 50 case studies in it that are specifically talk about how bigger brands use social influence. It's called The Influence of Persuasion. That's the actual book. Using scarcity and likening in my business without realizing it, and lots of social proof. There you go. So yeah, and again, you're probably using one of these or more of these unintentionally. But now that you know about them, I want you to hammer those values home. Like hammer them home. I want to do something here. So this is where that you can do this yourself. Is like, how is my messaging aligning with these things? Now that I know these exist, I want to double, triple, quadruple check that the things that I'm putting out to my community keep falling in the right buckets. Planning on using authority and liking. Awesome. And again, authority, sure, not all of us are going to be able to afford Michael Jordan's authority, but there should be other people in your space, other potentially influencers, other creators, other brands that you can latch yourself onto, like we did today. We are associating ours with Shopify. Shopify is a trusted brand. We want to go through a bunch of vetting to host these workshops. Great. That is part of the authority. That's why we're here and someone else isn't. And then hopefully you like us. Hopefully you like our message too. But yeah, again, we don't play the scarcity game. More the merrier. Cool. Just doesn't jive with us. So if there are no other questions, so the other thing that you have to look at is, and we always have to ask ourselves this, is how do I use the correct persuasion? So back to what your competitors are doing, you really have to look at what they're doing well. Great artists steal inspiration, so we don't want to copy them, but we definitely need to understand what they're doing well and why it works, because we do need that advantage for being small, because we can make changes very, very quickly. Understanding what they do and what buckets they operate in should be a competitive advantage to you. Why does it work for them? Why does their audience care about that thing? Can I do it? Can I do it better? How can I do it differently? And that's going to give you a leg up for sure. For sure. Okay. Real life. Great. This is kind of an exclusivity play, a little bit of scarcity play. Suit company, Sidonios, we really like them. They're not a big brand. They're a luxury third generation menswear store where we live. They do a great job of this. They do personalized service like no one else. If you want a suit, they treat you like a king. They've got ladies wear too. I can only speak from my experience. They treat you like there's no one else in the world when they are working with you. It starts by booking a consultation. It starts by booking a fitting. Great. That leads to all the other things down the pipeline. The word of mouth, the people raving about them, the good reviews, the customized service, the way that the actual experience, like great. But it starts by understanding the audience that goes to get a suit fitted cares about time. They don't want to be treated like everyone else. If they wanted to be treated like everyone else, go shop at a department store and get a suit off the rack. Great. That's not them. So it would be, how does your brand understand their audience like Sidonios understands the value of time for their customer? You need to have that same feel. And again, this is from a small local level all the way up. So I wanted to give you a very small example. There's no like global names in chat here. That's fine. If we can do it on the local level, if we can't do it on the local level, it's going to be very difficult to do it at scale. You should be crushing it locally. Everyone should know about the brand, about what you're doing for the right audience. Before I before I leave the marketing persuasions, did anyone have any questions about the marketing persuasions? I know can't quite check on how many people downloaded that thing. I encourage you to come back to it, write it down. We're a big fan of writing things down here because like if you write it down, you can track it over time and not just like think it and forget about it. Print it out, keep it as a PDF. I don't care how you use your documents, but like write that down. That's how strategy starts to form. I can't measure it if I don't record it. Any questions at all about these 6 marketing persuasions? And again, you're struggling with that, here to help, which is cool and happy to do so. This is like kind of my jam. You could probably feel that I'm a little bit passionate about these areas. That's why I'm doing it from our company. And yeah, cool. Okay. We're going to take 5 minutes. We've been at this, close to an hour and a bit now? Almost an hour. 5 minutes, grab a coffee. I'm going to stay here. I want people to take their time. There's no rush. If you have questions about the stuff we've covered, now's the time to ask them before we move on, before you get onto something else. I'm going to stay right here, but you can grab a coffee knowing that we're not going to miss anything. Example of commitment. Ooh, commitment's a really good one. Commitment is every time so Tom's does this with shoes. Every time you buy my pair of shoes, I'm going to plant a tree. I'm going to make that commitment to you. To promise. I'm good at making promises. Every time you buy a water bottle, I'm going to donate $1 to building wells in an underprivileged community. That's the commitment I'm giving back to my audience. And if you look at brands that do this well, like Tom's, like Patagonia, they get known for doing good things that are impactful for their audience. That is an example of commitment. And now it's, well, why would I buy, if I really value the environment, their shoes fit all of us. For Tom's, for example, they come out of recycled plastics of the ocean. It all fits. They're hitting all my other targets, but so are a bunch of other brands. They're using recycled materials or upcycled materials. Great. But Tom's is known for donating a pair of shoes. You buy a pair of shoes, they give a pair of shoes away to someone who needs them more than you do. And it's a very effective marketing strategy. And there's lots of brands that do it. So in Canada, there are smaller initiatives that aren't like company wide. So like we have like in Canada, we have like Canadian Tire does one for getting youth into children's sports. Tim Hortons does one with Send a Kid to Camp Day. So like every dollar from coffee sold goes to putting kids in those. Bell Let's Talk. So Bell Mobility, the telecom company, they do a whole thing for suicide prevention. Like, let's talk about mental health. They work commitment like crazy. They do not get Michael Jordan to subscribe to, a Bell phone subscription plan, phone plan. Nope. I don't care what phone Michael Jordan uses. I don't care about scarcity. I don't care about the social proof it might have. I don't care about authority when it comes to those types of products. Just not effective marketing tools for them. Yeah, that. My super cool. My shop plants a tree for each purchase. Didn't realize that's an important commitment part. It's a huge commitment part. Again, don't take that for granted. That's amazing. Really appreciate this webinar letting me know. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You're not doing it all wrong. No, you're not doing it all wrong. You're already planting the tree. So we don't want to take those things for granted. So you're doing something. You've made that commitment up here. Do your customers, do your audience know that you are committed to doing these things? Because it's a very, we don't want to, there's value there. It's a huge amount of value. And if we don't tell anybody about it, it's kind of lost value. So there are plenty of times, and I encourage people to obviously donate to charity, things that they are proud to do and feel good. There's a little soul food there. And there are plenty of things that you can do privately that you don't want the public to know about, and that's just for you. The things that you're doing through your business, I'm a little bit more, I want you to take a more public stance in doing good things in your community and doing good things for the world. You owe it to your business and you owe it to your customers to tell them that by them supporting you, you are doing good things. So commitment's a really, really big one. Really big one. But again, like Doesn't work for some brands. Supreme, I don't know what Tiffany's does for commitment. I don't like Tiffany's is not going to like they're not digging up, water conservation projects. Doesn't work for that brand. They do other things. Cool. So work within the things you do. And again, this is like really nails down to it. It's like, it's not one size fits all. We don't like, if anyone tells you, oh yeah, we have all the answers. No, hopefully they've got the right questions to ask, because there is no one size fits all answer. There's no quick way to do this. You really need just to dive in on the specifics of what your company does well, what your audience values, and then the opportunities that you have. So like planting a tree or cleaning up the environment. So what do you sell? What do you sell? It's like my shop. What is the shop? And hopefully it's got a strong environmental focus. Because if we align our values right, and people like the store for all of the other environmental impacts is doing, planting a tree makes a heck of a lot of sense. So hopefully planting a tree resonates with everything else. Oh, I've worked with influencers on IG, sent a lot of skincare products, even paid some. Doesn't work, not one sale. The only thing I found was that influencers got more. Yeah, you're absolutely. So that's all about influencers. Influencers are just advertisers. They like, so that is a difference. So influencers are an authority play. So you just think about an influencer as like a mini Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan is really good in the world of athletics, specifically in basketball. Those influencers are probably someone that has perceived value in their niche. You have influencers that are golfers, and influencers that are in makeup, and influencers that are in cooking, and influencers that are in sports cars, and all kinds. It's just, I call them industry. I hate the word influencer. I call if they're an expert in their industry, that's what they are. And you are now giving that expert or that influencer some of your product to put in front of an audience that you think really cares about their opinion, and that's it. There's a whole bunch of things that can go wrong there. I don't want to get involved because there's a lot of things that can, but I don't want to dissuade you from the authority of someone, because it makes a big difference. There's a reason why Matthew McConaughey is in that Lincoln. There's a reason why certain people are associated with some brands, because it works. Yes. Sustainable products, selling sustainable products. So like the planting a tree makes total sense. Look at that. So you're doing it without even knowing it. And I really hope you do a good job of explaining how many trees you plant each year and how much carbon you're pulling out of the environment and how much that actually positively affects, because your customers care about that. So like, don't undervalue all of the benefits there. Cool. Most of you get a lot of followers, but that doesn't equate to sales. Yeah, it doesn't. I don't like that. It doesn't really move the needle now, does it? If the goal is awareness and you want to like introduce something new, yeah. The thing about a luxury market, so think about that. Everyone that I know in my space, we all know that Tiffany sells little rings and little blue boxes. None of us have ever bought one, but we all know about it. But that didn't like increase their sales at all. I know about Balenciagas. It's sang about in like pop culture. It's like, it's all over the place. I've never bought a pair of Balenciagas. I've never done that. So like a lot of that messaging, especially with a luxury brand, because people look up to it, a lot of people look and not very many people buy. So I need to focus in on the people that'll actually move the needle. Because there's lots of people that like looking at shiny objects and the things they can't. I don't know how many times my business partner will laugh at me. I don't know how many times that I've been caught myself going, ooh, that's a really nice car. It's a really nice car. I wish I had that car. I'm not about to go buy one. Because most luxury products are very easy on the eyes. And it's easy to look at them. It's easy to get the clicks. It's easy to get the views. It's a lot harder to get the dollars, because you're not for everyone. Yes, I think you should. Made posts about this. I think I'll make a whole page on the site. Yes. And I think what you're going to want to do is you're going to go into find a few industry examples and look at how often this messaging gets hammered home. It's a lot. It's a lot. We always want to show our impact. We do. If you look at, there's major tennis events going on right now. So there's a couple of people in here for watches. The timekeeping in tennis is really important. You'll see Rolex and Citizen and a bunch of other watch brands. They care about that audience because there's a bunch of rich people. They have money, disposable income. There is a bunch of people that value this. There's a long-standing association with tennis. There's a whole bunch of things. But them putting Rolex as the official timekeepers of the tennis match, most of the people that are watching the tennis at home can't afford Rolex. They can't. They just don't have the disposable income for the Rolex. But Rolex wants to be associated with tennis because that's a status symbol for it. It might not impact sales at all. But for them to continue being a leader in that environment, that's the commitment. So this is not a commitment social piece, a persuasion, but they need to be associated with those other things. That's authority. I need to be associated with those things in order to keep my status. 100%. It would be very difficult for me to be a partner in the Shopify ecosystem if I wasn't associated with Shopify. I have to do this to keep that authority. If Michael Jordan, after his second championship, ate a bunch of Big Macs and got absolutely fat and stopped playing basketball, we wouldn't associate him with being an amazing athlete. We would associate him with not having the authority in the space anymore. Okay, great. Okay, that was longer than 5 minutes. Moving on. Right on. Moving on. The last assumption is more products is better. This is like something that we deal with like every week. No, better products is better. If you've ever been to a brick and mortar luxury store, Burberry, like any of them, whether it be fashion, whether it be food, whether it be cars, there is more white space than anything. They want to focus their efforts. So more options is not better. So you are just like your brand. You can only be good at so many things. Your brand is the same, but you got to stay focused here. Really, 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 really focused. So most luxury brands start off with a very limited inventory. They got famous, they got notified selling purses. They got famous, they got noticed, became brand authority selling golf balls. They didn't do all the other things while they were focusing and building. They did the one thing really good because it's easier to teach people one thing than a whole bunch of things. What do we think about when I say the word coffee? Well, Starbucks didn't get popular selling cake pops. They didn't start selling all of the other stuff. They got popular selling coffee. And then a whole bunch of things came. It's the same for every other brand. We got to narrow down the focus. We want to really, really strive for what does our brand need to be known for, and everything else is noise. You got to cut it. I want less, higher value. Tory Burch is a good example. There are very few brands that jump in with both feet and do a ton off the hop. Very few. And don't be those people. It's too hard. You'll spread yourself too thin. It's easier to manage. The supply chains are better. If it's like more products does not equal more profit. More sales equals more profit. It'll be difficult for people to identify who you are and what you do well if I'm trying to do 14 things. I want to do one. And that's why I'm hammering home again, don't try and do all 6 marketing persuasions, do 2. The most profitable, just like the slide says, I'm going to read this word for word. I hate reading slides, but I'll read this one. The most profitable stores on Shopify have 10 products or less. And that comes right from Shopify. Right from them. And that's profit. 10 products or less. And that is definitely something to think about in the luxury space. We do not have time for things that don't benefit your brand. That is it. Variations. So variations are a little different. I'd love to, Your name is iPhone in chat, so I'll call you iPhone. Variations are different. If I'm selling t-shirts, luxury t-shirts, I'm selling like they're beautiful, beautiful t-shirts. That's fine. There's all kinds of variations. You are going to get known for selling t-shirts, very luxurious t-shirts with a ton of designs. Not every shirt counts as its own product. That's one product. You are going to get known for selling badass t-shirts. Great. You can have a lot of them, but you sell t-shirts. So it's not hard for people to associate you, the brand, and what it does. If you sold t-shirts and shoes and earrings and cake pops and coffee and a whole bunch of other things that might be closely related, it's going to be really hard to carve that out. Almost impossible. And the first thing that we would tell you from an agency perspective is like, don't do that. So if you're selling jewelry, like engagement rings, I want you to be known for selling engagement. Again, even Tiffany's, when it first started, I love that someone brought that blue box up, because that was like one of the things that I was going to bring up. They have a bunch of designs. Not everyone wants the same engagement ring. They want unique stuff. Great. But it was rings. It was diamonds. They get known for that one thing. And then they started doing pendants and necklaces and design. And then they started doing a whole bunch of stuff. Just nail that one thing first. Restaurants are good at this. Well, good restaurants are good at this. Nail the one thing first. Yeah, I sell lots of different pieces of jewelry. So Jess, you might need to just narrow that down. Do I sell really, really good gold jewelry? Like, how do I get that down so that people go like, oh, that brand, they do this. Handmade jewelry, handmade beeswax candles. Which was like, yeah, that does. Beeswax. I have never thought even once, let's go buy the jewelry at the candle store. Never. That's a hard one. It is different businesses. Same handmade jewelry and handmade beeswax candles. I don't know how you relate those two. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. That one's hard for me to wrap my head around. Yes. Very fair. You're a maker, you make what you like. That's cool. All the power to you. That does create confusion with your customers. There are plays to do that. So like the liking is a big one. If you can build a big personal following, you might actually just be the brand. There are plenty of people that can do that successfully. It's just different tactics. So liking would be very important for you. So yeah, the one of the kind show. Yeah, that's a great one. Yep. Build personal following. Yep, exactly. Yeah. So it's not impossible. I don't want to shut you down. It's harder to, but I don't think they think of you and I think that they are actually, when you say like, hey, I'll go back a slide. I'm going to go back a slide. That's actually a perfect example. Oh, right here. The most profitable stores on Shopify have 10 products or less. You are the product in that case. If you turn yourself into a personal brand, you have one of you. And you need to make sure that those people understand your values, because then everything will be in line with that. So as long as they have that, there's a way to do that. It's a little challenging, just like everything else, but that's it. You are the product. They are buying it because of you, not because it's a really good beeswax candle. They're buying it because you think it's a good beeswax candle. Medical esthetician. My Shopify store has my services and training I provide listed. Primarily, I sell my private label skincare products, vegan friendly, all natural, made in Canada. I have two separate websites, one for products and then, okay, that's a great question. I'm going to repeat that for everyone. You have services tied in products. Very common. Very common. The Sidonios brand that I just talked about has services and products. Hauser, the one I talked about before that, has services and products. Most designer brands, most luxury brands can have a service component to it. It's just personalized services. If you want to meet with Sidonios and have a custom suit built just for you, that's a service. That is not a product. You can't buy that off their website. You cannot go buy custom suit with all my measurements and everything without going to them and getting fitted. Hauser's the same way. They're not going to immediately know what your backyard aesthetic looks like. Nope, they have services for that. So they will learn even more about you, and they cost money. Cool. And there's limitations because they're not going to fly to Europe to do your backyard unless you get a lot of money. That's cool. Yours will be the same way. You don't need two separate stores to sell services and products as long as they're closely aligned. So if you're an esthetician and you're selling esthetician services and you're also selling products in that space, great. There's a ton of brands that do that. Tiffany's does that. If I go back to theirs, Tiffany's has services, you want to go get your ring fitted and you want to go do that or cleaned or anything like that, you can absolutely, Rolex does that. You want to go take your watch to Rolex and get it, make sure the timing is right. Most luxury brands have a service component. So no, you do not need two separate websites at all. Not saying you wouldn't stand to benefit, but many brands have a service offering. Many luxury brands also have a service offering. It's cool. So yes, 10 products or less. 10 products or less. We've had a very good chat today. There's been a very good discussion. A lot to think about, I think, from everyone in the room. That's how I would start building a luxury brand. I would pick out my 2 marketing persuasions. I would build photography content and video content and text content around those persuasions. And I would make sure my website holds that information effectively. That is it. It sounds easier than it is. I'm making it sound easy. There's a lot that goes into that. A ton. Oh, and cut your product SKUs. Cut your products. Do the one thing really, really well.